everyone, it's Becky from Book Obsessed Becky. I'm coming at you with a quick fire, would I recommend, would I not recommend these books that I have read over the past 3 months. And there's a lot of them, but I'm going to try to be really quick about it. I have physical books. I read a lot on Kindle, I read through the library, and I read on audio. So the books that you don't see me holding up, I will try to include a picture somewhere in here. And if you see me looking down, it's because I have my laptop here. I use Goodreads to track my reading, so I don't remember everything I read without looking at it. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, the first book that I read was Starfish by Lisa Fipps. Would I recommend this? Yes, I would recommend it, but I would recommend it with be mindful because it is very emotional. At least it was for me, for somebody that struggled with eating and things like that in my past. If you are somebody that struggled with body image or an eating disorder or something like that, it could be a very triggering, emotional book. There's an abusive mother in there, but I would recommend. I don't remember what I gave it for a star rating. Okay, and it's super windy here, so if you see me pause and like there's cuts, it's because the vents in the bathrooms in the kitchen is like rattling as the wind goes through them, so I'm going to try to cut that out. The second book that I read was The Magic of Lemon Drop Pie. I would absolutely recommend this book. I loved this book. There is grief in it for the death of a parent, so be mindful of that, but it's all about second chances, and I just thought it was a great read. Then I have Summer Romance. I loved this book as well. It was a great beachy kind of read. There is a romance in here, obviously, that takes place in the summertime. I thought it was great. I didn't think it was, if I'm remembering right, I don't think it's steamy. So that was really good. It was a fun read. Okay, then I've got a book that's third in a series. It's a Stormlight Archive series by Brandon Sanderson, and the book is Oathbringer. I listened to this on audio. The audio was fantastic. I think it was between like, somewhere between 45 and maybe 55 hours, something like that. These books are a commitment, but if you enjoy high fantasy, lots of character development, plot, all of that, then these are the books for you. Sorry, I'm trying to go through this quick because my husband's on his way home from work and I want to get it done, and this is the second time I've recorded this video. So yeah, fingers crossed I get it done in time. Then I've got The Mystery in the Margins. This was an arc that I had to read. It was cozy. It was about a bookstore, I believe. Somebody inherited a bookstore, and there were different types of people, like witches, and I think there was maybe vampires in here, werewolves, I can't really remember, but I really did enjoy the story when I read it. So if you are looking for a cozy, like autumn, witchy vibe kind of book, give that one a go. The same goes for Impractical Magic. I really enjoyed that book. I read it as an arc as well. And if you're looking for Gilmore Girl vibes, witchy vibes, small town, like in the fall, throughout the seasons, a bit of a love story, some good banter, then you're going to want to give this one a go. I absolutely love this book. The next one I'm not a big fan of. I just don't think it was a book for me, and that is the Dallergut Dream Department Store. It's a translated fiction. I don't even know what it's translated from. I want to say Korean, but I'm not sure. I just couldn't get into the book. I think maybe I gave it a 1.5, 2 stars, something like that. It just wasn't for me. The next one is The Inheritance of Orquidea Divina, I think is her name. And I enjoyed this book. I'm not sure I'll reread this book, but it was fun reading it through the first time. I own a physical copy and I listened to an audio, and the narration was really good for it. Then I've got The Holiday Cottage, and this was another arc that I had to have read. It's a great Christmas story. I really enjoyed it. I enjoy this author, Sarah Morgan. She writes some really great, fantastic Christmas stories. Super cozy, a little romance. This one revolves around a girl that has a terrible relationship with her mom, doesn't really have any family that she knows of, and she is sent on paid leave because something happened at her job, and she is a workaholic. But again, I really enjoyed that and would totally recommend it. The next one I have here is A Fate Inked in Blood. This is part of a series. This is the first in a series. It's a romantasy, and we're following Freya as she goes about her life, and there's swords in here. There's definitely spice. I listened to it on audio, and I thought it was a good story. Am I going to reread it? Probably not. Am I going to pick up the next one in this series? Probably. Okay, Then moving on to another arc, which was Christmas at the Little Paris Hotel. This was such a cute story. It takes place in Paris at Christmas time in a rundown hotel. And the woman that we're following is a writer. She has a book that's due, and she is trying to get this hotel up and going again after her ex-husband was cheating on her. So there's lots of feelings in this book. There's a little bit of romance in this book. I just thought it was a good time, and I would read it again. I would definitely recommend it for the Christmas season. Then I've got The Pumpkin Spice Cafe. This book is making its way around YouTube and Instagram, and I'm sure it's probably on TikTok as well. I thought it was okay. I wasn't a fan of the spice, but I like the small town vibes. I like the coffee shop deal. Or not coffee shop, I think it was a bakery. I like that whole deal, but I'm not going to be continuing in the series. The next one I've got here is The Secret Garden, and this is an old copy, you can tell. From the color of the pages. I think I had this as a kid. I didn't read it as a kid, but I read it as an adult for a book club, and I loved it. But beware, there's racism in here, classism in here. This is a book of its time. But again, I think it was a great read. I enjoyed it very much. I will reread it. I loved it like how I love Anne of Green Gables, how I love Little House on the Prairie, how I love Little Women. That's how much I love this book. Then I've got, oh, I gotta unbury it here. This book here, which is A Sorceress Comes to Call. Highly recommend, absolutely recommend. Loved this book. There's an evil sorceress in here. There's a daughter in here that is abused. There is a feisty sister that's like middle-aged, and I just love it. Like, no, you know what? She's not even middle-aged, I don't think. No, she's not middle-aged. Either way, love this book. I think if you like witchy books, I think you're going to like this. If you like Kingfisher, I think you're going to like this. This is probably one of my favorite books by that author. The next one I have here was super cozy. It's a cozy fantasy, and that is The Spellshop. If you like books about libraries and people that work in them and magic and little islands, like close-knit communities and magical creatures and talking plants, give this one a go. Highly recommend. Super cute, super cozy. I have A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking next. Same author, T. Kingfisher. I thought it was cute. I thought it was cozy. I enjoyed it. It's got a little bit of angst to it. You're following this girl. She's a witch. She's got a sourdough starter as her familiar. Like, there's a little gingerbread man in here. I just thought it was a good time. I listened to it on audio, and I really enjoyed it. Then we've got The Unmaking of June Farrow. Would I recommend this? Yes, I would absolutely recommend this book. You are bouncing between timelines. You're following this woman who has a whole separate life. I can't remember, like from back in the day or like 5 years before. I don't even remember, but I know I really loved this book when I read it. And if you like a bit of time traveling and romance, give this one a go. Definitely magic in it as well. Then I've got this book, and I loved this book. I think any book lover would love this book. It's a children's book. It's Pages & Co. The Book Wanderers, Tilly and the Book Wanderers, and I think it was fantastic. We're following this little girl. She lives with her grandparents. Her grandparents own a bookstore, and it just so happens that she can travel into her favorite stories. So we meet Anne from Anne of Green Gables, and we meet Alice from Alice in Wonderland, and I think Sherlock makes an appearance in here, and Lizzie Bennet makes an appearance in here, and it's just such a good time. Loved it so much. Then I've got The Ministry of Time. I thought this was a good story, kind of sci-fi. You're pulling people from the past into the present and seeing how they adapt to the new world. There's a bit of a love story in here. You're traveling through time. I thought it was good. Will I reread it? Probably not. Would I recommend it? Probably. I thought it was good. The Dead Romantics. I was looking to see if I have it. I don't. I read this on my Kindle. I would absolutely recommend this book. I loved it. I loved that you fall in love with a ghost. I love the whole story behind him. I loved the daughter and the father, how they're able to see ghosts and help ghosts. And I just thought it was a great story. The next one I want to talk about is The Phoenix Keeper. It's a new release about a zoo with magical creatures in it. You're following a girl. There's great anxiety rep in here. She is part of the Phoenix program, but there's unicorns, there's mermaids, there's dragons. There is a bit of a mystery in here. It was cozy. I enjoyed it very much. This book here, I cannot rave enough about it, and it is The Change. If you like powerful women that get revenge on men, evil men, for doing terrible things, then this is the book for you. There is witchy elements, there's fantastic friendships. I loved it. If that's your vibe, you need to run and pick this book up. And the women in here are all in their 40s, I believe. Again, I loved it. Okay, then I've got this one, super cozy book. Can't spell treason without tea. Following two women, they open up a tea shop bookstore. There are dragons in here. There's an evil queen in here. There's witches in here. It's an all over good time. I will definitely be rereading it. And I am on the second book in the series right now. Then we've got The Bellwoods Game. This is another middle grade book following 6th graders as they compete with this evil like spirit or whatever. If they beat this evil spirit, then their town is safe for a year until the next Halloween. If they don't beat this evil spirit in the game, then this evil being is able to like wreak havoc in their town. And it's something every 6th grader has to go through. There's ghosts in here. It's a little bit spooky. There's friendship, all the things that happen with 6th grade kids. I just loved it. I thought it was great. I would totally recommend it. Then we've got The Silent House. I thought this was I really like this book. The book club that I'm in, they weren't all on the same page as me, but I thought it was a great story. There's a mystery in here. A child is murdered. But the interesting thing about it is that the child that's murdered is deaf. Her parents are deaf. So the entire house is deaf. They can't hear the murderer come in. Nobody knows about any of it until they wake up the next morning and they find the little girl dead. I thought it was a great book. I shouldn't say great. I thought it was a good book. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, I think I will definitely be carrying on with the next book in the series. Then I've got Pumpkinheads. I got this book from the library. It's a graphic novel. It's one I'd heard about throughout the years. People have read it. They really enjoyed it. I wanted to have a fallish, like Halloween-y, like cute graphic novel for this time of year, and I read it. I loved it. You're following two teens. They work in a pumpkin patch. A boy has a crush on a girl. Him and his bestie go on an adventure throughout the pumpkin patch to try to find this girl so he can confess his feelings for her, since it's their last summer working there, because their last fall working there, because next season they're going to be in college and they're not going to be around. So he wants to like let her know how he feels, and things might turn out not exactly how he was hoping. Okay, another one I have is A River Enchanted. I thought it was a good story. I have the second in the series that I will be picking up. I listened to it on audio. I would recommend it. It's a fantasy. I think there are gods at work here. Girls are disappearing. I just thought it was a good time. I really enjoyed it. Then the last one I have here to talk about is Mistletoe Magic in the Highlands. This was an arc, and I thought it was adorable. So it's about a girl who keeps getting ghosted by men. She doesn't know why she's getting ghosted. She is on this online dating app. She kind of has a relationship with this guy that she met on there named Fraser. He lives in Scotland. She lives in England. And he ghosts her one day for no reason at all. And she doesn't know why. Well, she gets ticked, and she decides to take a road trip to Scotland to confront him. Well, when she gets there, things aren't as they seem. He has absolutely no idea who she is, and she gets stranded there. So there's a whole thing that plays out on that. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was cozy. I flew through it. I loved the book. So I would definitely recommend that as well. So that is I think it was like 28 books or something I just ran through. Hopefully you find something in here that you haven't read that you're excited to pick up. If you feel like it, let me know if you've read any of these books, which ones you liked, which ones you didn't. And I will speak to you all very soon. Bye.